Good morning, everybody. My name is Jane Rago, and I'm delighted to be here. This is a phone that was on the floor, so...
It was there for a microphone. We're experimenting today.
Wonderful to know. Okay. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community, we celebrate the presence and participation of LGBTQI and straight people of all races, genders, abilities, ethnic, and national origins. We welcome you on Zoom, and on site, whoever you know yourself to be and wherever you are on your journey. If you are visiting us and you would like to introduce yourself, please rise or raise your hand and Raven will bring a microphone. And I've got the chat pulled up on Zoom, so if you'd like to introduce yourself on Zoom, I can share with the congregation. Is there anybody on this side who's visiting? Okay. How about on this side? Well, welcome. It's wonderful to have all of you with us. Please join us in our social hall afterwards for refreshments, and you can find the social hall by following the crowd through this door, the main doors, or ask Raven, our usher. There are 2 cards in the pew, and they help us gather information for the good of our community. You can use the Rainbow Chalice card, which has the QR code or a place to actually handwrite, to sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister. And if you're on Zoom, you may contact Nancy, our administrator or extraordinaire, and I put her email in the chat for you. To share a joy or a sorrow today, please use the card with the red heart and chalice. Zoom participants, you may also share a joy or sorrow on chat, and we will read them aloud in the service later if you indicate you'd like that. If you fill out either card, please put them in the collection plate a little later this morning. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends on Tuesdays and Fridays, so check your inbox for more details about the following announcements. First, we would like to thank our wonderful crew who came yesterday and volunteered and pruned and tidied and got the outside of our church looking glittering and gorgeous. Thank you. WRUU is having a fashion show fundraiser on September 30th, and they are looking for volunteers to help. So get out your fancy clothes. And there is a social justice meeting on Sunday, September 24th, after the service and coffee hour, and there are homemade cookies that are going to be there. So bring a lunch and come and join the meet and greet. Next Sunday, our covenant group is doing a kind of a UU salon, and we're going to be having a conversation, and we'd love to hear your input afterwards in Ron Hall. So one of the things we'll be discussing is, what is the role of the Unitarian Universalist Church in this precise historical moment? With the lighting of our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we enter into sacred space. Our chalice lighter this morning is Roger Steves. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet, kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together.
This is the season of repair, a time to reflect on how we might endure when life tears at us. We are held by the great book of life in which it is written that we will inevitably face deprivation and discomfort, longing and forgiveness. Each among us must contemplate our own place in it all. As those among us in relationship with Judaism mark the high holy days, our hearts fill with hope and fear, turning and settling, mystery and agency, accountability and acceptance. Let us gather today in somber celebration of our shared humanity and our personal power. Come, let us worship together. Please rise in spirit or in body for opening hymn number 108, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. 188, typo in my script. 188, we'll sing it.
We're going to sing this short hymn twice with a little piano interlude in between.
Time now for our story. Anyone who would like to see the pictures is welcome to come forward. Our story this morning is called I Am Enough. Like the sun, I am here to shine. Like the voice, I'm here to sing. Like the bird, I'm here to fly and soar high over everything. Like the trees, I'm here to grow. Like the mountains, here to stand. Like time, I'm here to be and be everything I can. Like the champ, I'm here to fight. Like the heart, I'm here to love. Like a ladder, here to climb, and like the air, to rise above. Like the wind, I'm here to push. Like a rope, I'm here to pull. Like the rain, I'm here to pour and drip and fall until I'm full. Like the moon, I'm here to dream. Like the student, here to learn. Like the water, here to swell. Like the fire, here to burn. Like the winner, I'm here to win, and if I don't, get up again. I know that I may sometimes cry, but even then I'm here to try. I'm not meant to be like you, you're not meant to be like me. Sometimes we'll get along and sometimes we will disagree. I know that we don't look the same, our skin, our eyes, our hair, our frame. But that does not dictate our worth. We both have places here on earth. And in the end, we are right here to live a life of love, not fear, to help each other when it's tough, to say together, I am enough. Thank you for listening. We will now sing you on your way to religious education.
Nurturing and sustaining our beloved Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah community takes love in all forms, and one form is giving. To donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the order of service or go to www.uusavannah.org and click the donate button. I put that in the chat for you on Zoom. And mailed checks are always welcome. Thank you for your generosity.
Do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Bring your pain and sorrow and joy. There's a place for them upon the altar of life. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. This is a place of grace, a place of losing and finding our way upon the winding road. Meeting and parting, stumbling and starting over. Leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Amen. Amen.
We have two joys and sorrows today. A sorrow for, or holding space in our heart for all of those really directly impacted by the climate crisis. And from Alex, that's to be held in our hearts. So let us hold all of our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we join together in reading the responsive reading in the order of service. Sorrow is everywhere.
Yet joy is to mourn.
As we mourn together,
So we celebrate together.
And offer thanks,
That we are not alone.
so may it be now and in all the days to come.
Let us settle into a spirit of meditation. The words of meditation this morning from Derek Walcott. The day, with all its pain ahead, is yours. The ceaseless creasing of the morning sea, the fluttering gambage cedar leaves allegro, the rods of the yawning branches trolling in the breeze, the rusted meadows, the wind-whitened grass, the coos of the stone-colored ground doves on the road, the echo of benediction on a house, its rooms of pain, its veranda of remorse, when joy lanced through its open-hearted doors like a hummingbird out of the garden and the pool in which the sky has fallen. These are all yours, and pain has made them brighter, as absence does after a death, as the light heals the grass. Amen. Our first reading this morning, Moon by Billy Collins, might not be exactly astronomically correct for today, but it's a good poem anyway. The moon is full tonight, an illustration for sheet music, an image in Matthew Arnold glimmering on the English Channel, or a ghost over a smoldering battlefield in one of the history plays. It's as full as it was in that poem by Coleridge, where he carries his year-old son into the orchard behind the cottage and turns the baby's face to the sky to see for the first time Earth's bright companion, something amazing to make his crying seem small. And if you wanted to follow this example, tonight would be the night to carry some tiny creature outside and introduce him to the moon. And if your home has no child, you can always gather into your arms the sleeping infant of yourself, as I have done tonight, and carry him outdoors all limp in a tattered blanket, making sure to steady his lolling head with the palm of your hand. And while the wind ruffles the pear trees in the corner of the orchard and dark roses wave against a stone wall, you can turn him on your shoulder and walk in circles on the lawn, drunk in the light. You can lift him up into the sky, your eyes nearly as wide as his, as the moon climbs high into the night. And our second reading from Derek Walcott, Love After Love. The time will come when with elation you greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. Here end the readings. Our hymn of the month this month is number 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Please rise in body or in spirit.
With
All kinds of people around that table. And one of them is you. One of them is me. Each of them is us. One of each of them is us. Oh, I'm channeling my inner flight attendant this morning to urge you to be sure to secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. As Jane said, one of our covenant groups will be leading the service next week, so with my final sermon in the month of welcome, I turn the focus inward to consider the welcome we offer ourselves as individuals and as a congregation. Now, the possible objections are obvious. We're supposed to be welcoming of strangers. Welcome is all about what we offer guests. Welcome brings the other, whoever that may be, in, graciously, genuinely, eagerly. To focus on welcoming ourselves is to turn the entire concept of welcome upside down or inside out or both. Or as the poet Charles Bernstein concluded in his poem Self-Help, other drowns. Yes, to all of that, except self-help, other drowns, because I'm with the flight attendants on this one. Self-help does not equal others or the other drowning. But that aside, yes, of course, we strive to welcome strangers, to offer guests and the neighbors and others warm, generous, genuine welcome. Welcome that draws them in and expresses the honor and delight we feel in their presence in our home or our community or at our event. Welcome is traditionally and perhaps best understood as other-focused. All that not with understanding, we do well first to pay attention to the welcome we offer ourselves, our true, authentic selves, because the welcome we offer others rests on the welcome we first offer ourselves. You may have had the experience of being a guest in a private home when all the expected elements of welcome were present. The main entrance well marked and easy to find, hosts ready to greet you, take your wrap, introduce you to the space and the other guests, attention paid to room temperature and lighting, sufficient comfortable seating, thought given to the mix of guests, the meal or refreshments, if served, delicious and easy to eat in the setting. And yet, somehow, the warmth and ease that come from a genuine and gracious welcome just didn't come through. You've probably also had an experience of being a guest again in a private home or at a church or temple or public event when one or more of the expected elements of welcome were missing or substandard. Maybe the seating was a bit awkward or the refreshments skimpy or uninspired. Yet somehow you were enveloped by welcome, knew you were an honored guest, that for that moment you were where you belonged. And maybe you've had the slightly different experience of being at a party or a gathering where the official host was distracted or putting out metaphorical fires or simply not very socially adept. But someone else exuded grace and warmth, putting you and everyone else at ease, essentially acting as a co-host in an unobtrusive way that lightened the host's duties without usurping or diminishing their role in any way. What about going to a gathering or even a religious service and you found your way to the main entrance and meeting room and the greeters showed you where the restrooms were and seemed genuinely glad you were there, but still the welcome wasn't all you hoped it would be? And maybe it was really hard to figure out what was lacking or what went awry. Maybe you never put your finger on it. Could it be that there was some confusion about why you or anyone else had been invited to the place or the event? Or maybe what unfolded wasn't what was advertised. Or maybe it seemed like you were welcomed because of what you represented, not who you are. A young person, a person of color, an LGBTI person, a woman, a man, but not you. We're so glad you're here. There are dozens of different ways a welcome can miss the mark or materialize against the odds. But I think a commonality lies at the core of many, if not most. I think guests, strangers, neighbors, others, feel the absence of welcome when the hosts, whether individual people or an institution, haven't arrived at their own door and found welcome there. Haven't given themselves bread and wine and the love of their own heart. Haven't carried their inner baby and shown them the vast wonders of the universe from the security of a loving embrace. Conversely, strangers, guests, neighbors, others experience the contentment and joy of deep welcome in the presence of someone, a host, a fellow visitor or guest, a service provider, someone who has welcomed themselves into the fullness of their own being. A ripple effect occurs. We hear the flight attendant line. I started with a lot these days, or at least I do in ministerial circles. Be sure to secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. We remind people in the helping professions and overwhelmed caregivers and frazzled parents and emergency responders of all kinds, you can't help or save anyone else if you're not rested, healthy, getting sufficient oxygen and nutrition yourself. In repetition, it can sound trite or simplistic. Put on your own mask first. You can't pour from an empty cup. You won't do your family, team any good if you're sick in bed. Put on your own mask first. Trite or repetitive or simplistic or not, none of that is wrong. And as I said a moment ago, it applies to welcome too. I feel most welcomed into a home or a group or a religious service or other event when the hosts, or sometimes another guest, know themselves to be deeply welcome in the world. When they have, whether through the experience of having been repeatedly, consistently, and generously welcomed by those nearest to them, or through doing the arduous, spiritual, and ultimately joyful work of learning to welcome themselves, or most likely through a combination of two, when they have come to know themselves as worthy and honored guests of creation. Knowing oneself to be a worthy and honored guest of creation, and thus to actively welcome oneself over and over again at one's own door, into one's own life, isn't a once and forever state of being for most, if any of us. And it doesn't result or come from a sort of purging or modification of flaws we think might be barriers to being truly worthy and honored. Rather, it grows out of our acceptance and celebration of the fullness of our unique and precious being, and relearning and reaccepting it over and over again as often as we forget it. We're welcome because we're welcome, as we are and who we are. Short-tempered, slightly arrogant, clumsy, overly fastidious, in recovery, indecisive, tending toward gossip or rigidity, chronically ill physically or mentally, engaging in behaviors we're secretly ashamed of, neurodivergent, college dropout, underemployed for the level of formal education we have achieved, convicted of a crime, in debt, believer or unbeliever in whatever, estranged from the people we most long to be close to. Any of these may prevent our being welcomed in certain homes or organizations or by some people. Not one of them, or any of the other parts of who we are, who we've been, disqualifies us from being welcomed by creation. We're welcome because we are. And when we offer ourselves the same boundless welcome, we become an embodiment of and conduit of creation's welcome to others. Because being steeped in this kind of welcome produces an inner calm, a generosity of spirit, a loosening of clutches at control, and an overall ease in responding to the fits and starts, switchbacks, and tangles of life. Knowing ourselves to be a regular, old, deeply flawed, and slightly questionable human being who nevertheless and absolutely belongs in creation can't help but make the welcome we strive to offer others more expansive, deeper, truer. Putting on our own oxygen mask first saves those around us from the soul pain of questioning their belonging in creation. The church has two primary roles regarding welcome. First, the church exists in part to call us back when we begin to doubt or forget our belonging in creation, and thus become neglectful of welcoming ourselves. Here we offer words and gestures, music and silence, work and prayer that carry in them the wisdom of the ages and of the myriad traditions that sing 1,000 ways of creation's boundless welcome of us. Here, through worship and covenant groups and religious educations, we teach and learn ways of welcoming ourselves. Thus reminded of our embrace by the great welcome, and having learned and practiced welcoming ourselves with joy and reverence, we go forth from here week after week, carrying welcome in our very being to all we encounter. That's the inward-facing role of the church with regard to welcome. And of course, the church also has an outward-facing role with regard to welcome. The church is called to welcome guests, strangers, and others who seek a spiritual home here, whether for a time or for a lifetime. And as in private homes or other groups, the church's welcome can be off if its sense of identity or purpose or worthiness is a bit shaky. If, and I think this is often what keeps churches and other groups from offering our best welcome, if it doubts its own welcome in the universe by forgetting that its flaws and imperfections, quirks and oddities, and history of missteps and mistakes aren't the whole of its identity and don't need to be desperately, hastily rectified in one fell swoop, or most troublesome of all, denied and covered up. An institution, this church included, that knows its identity, knows its reason for being in the world, what gifts it offers, and also what roles and gifts are best left for other churches or organizations to offer, knows but is neither frozen nor obsessed by its shortcomings and flaws, such an institution is one that can offer an expansive, embracing, and joyful welcome to all seekers. Such a church will, of course, speak the truth about the troubling aspects of its history, pay attention to gaps in accessibility, shore up hospitality, deepen and expand in pastoral care, widen its social justice ministry, whatever it takes to address flaws and imperfections and undeveloped areas of ministry that keep it from ministering to its congregation, future generations, and the community in which it is situated. But it will do so thoughtfully and deliberately, not reactively or out of toxic levels of shame. And the difference will be felt. Strangers, guests, and visitors will be met by an institutional systemic inner calm, a generosity of spirit, a loosening of clutches at control, and an overall ease in responding to the fits and starts, switchbacks, and tangles of life, and feel themselves enveloped by contentment, security, and the joy of deep reverential welcome. And they, like we already here, may then go forth from here carrying welcome in their very being to all they encounter, and arrive eventually at their own door, ready to feast on their lives. And we, in ways we will never know, will be blessed by the cycle of welcome we set in motion when we begin to breathe in our own welcome before assisting others. Amen. Our closing hymn this morning is number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Please rise in body or in spirit. Choir is back. Go forth now, ready to greet yourself arriving at your own door, smiling with elation. Amen.